Welcome to another episode of Red Carpet Living with Jenn. In today's episode, I get to sit down with mother, sisters, and owners of the company Pure Motherhood Co. that's based out here in Central Florida. And it was really a delightful conversation to see how they have luxury and concierge offerings for women at all stages of their pregnancy and can teach you how to advocate for yourself if you're in need. Stay tuned. Hello there, and welcome everyone to another episode of Red Carpet Living with Jenn. I'm actually really excited to announce my speakers today because not only have they been with me on my entrepreneurial journey, but they also have an incredible offering that I think so many women, if not women worldwide, really need to hone in on it and really find out how they can find benefit in what they offer as well. So without further ado, I have here the ladies with me of Pure Motherhood Co., Jenny and Wendy Davis. Ladies, welcome.
Hi. Thank you so much for having us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I love it. And obviously off camera, we were having conversations and I'm like, well, I just want everybody to know about this. So we're going to hit record right away. And in no order, we'll just jump right in. So before we get into what we were talking about before, tell us a little bit about what your business is and how you ladies got there together as sisters.
Sure.
Yes, that's right. We're sisters. So
yeah.
If we look alike or not, whatever. Yeah, we hear that. We heard it all the time, but we don't think we look alike. Yeah, we have been talking about this, funny enough, for the past 2 weeks because we're going through this whole process in our branding. So in our company, and so we keep talking about how did we get here? How did we get here? So about 3 years ago, I always have to remember that 3 years ago, Wendy and I actually had our own businesses. So we were both in corporate America for a very long time. And we started kind of just a side business 3 years ago. So I was in birth education. And then Wendy had a holistic wellness shop that she can talk more about. But I was in corporate America, just doing my thing. I was actually in marketing for a big, huge tech company. And I had my second son. I have two boys. One is 8 and the other one's 5. So the 5-year-old, wow, it's been 5 years. I had a very interesting traumatic birth experience with him. And it kind of just led me to feeling like I had to do something with this. I wasn't really sure what. And so the first thing that popped up where everyone was, well, you should become a doula. And I was like, no, because doulas get woken up at 2:00 in the morning, come to my house. And I'm like, no, I love to sleep. I don't want anybody calling me about anything like that. So I just kind of, in talking to people and just how God led me to things. And he led me to this woman that kind of brought me into the birth education world. And it was like, oh, okay. So if you can educate women from the beginning and help them kind of, see their options from the beginning, then you can kind of avoid a lot of things in this traumatic birth and all that. So, I was like, yes, that's it. That's what I want to do. So I got certified to become a birth educator. And I was teaching someone else's course though at the time. And I was going into people's homes, like a couple, you just found out you're in your third trimester, you're pregnant and you want to take a birth course. I actually come to your house and actually, teach you all the tools and techniques. So that's what I was doing on my own, and then officially left corporate America and was like, I'm so done with this. I want to do this full time. And so I started doing that full time. And then Wendy was kind of on her own.
Yeah. And so we both live in Florida, but we lived in different cities. And so obviously we're sisters. We kind of both had the entrepreneurial bug. And so she was doing childbirth education. I kind of went through this quarter life crisis where I hated my job and I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. And then not only that, I experienced postpartum depression and anxiety after the birth of my son. So I have a son, he is 4. And so I experienced postpartum depression, anxiety. And through that experience, I was like, there should be more in life. I want to do something else. And so something that I have always been passionate about is holistic, health and wellness. I've been into essential oils from 8 years ago. I kind of got on that like bus a long time ago. And I was into like how to heal yourself naturally and that kind of stuff. And so it started, my first business started, it was called Wild Wellness Shop, and it started with elderberry syrup. If you're familiar, are you familiar with elderberry syrup?
Ish.
Yeah, so it's like immune boosting, like berries, make it. And so I was basically selling it to like my friends and family. And so that's kind of what I was doing. And then after, I was just like, kind of like would keep going back to my experience of postpartum depression. And I'm like, man, that was so unfair. Like I did what I was supposed to do. I reached out to my doula. I reached out to my midwife, and I would tell them, hey, I'm struggling. What can I do? What resources do you have? And nobody could help me. And I'm like, that's so wrong that we kind of just like leave women high and dry to like, sorry, you had the baby, got to go fend for yourself while you're crying in your bathroom. You know what I mean? And it was just, I was so frustrated with the experience. And I'm like, we're doing such a disservice to women.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, maybe I can make something. And so something that I wish I would have had. And so I started like thinking of like, what are the things that I struggled with and wish I would have had? And so I created this postpartum kit that has products in there to support, which is still on our website, products to support women through postpartum. And so it has like an anxiety elixir that you take like orally. It has like a hairspray to like regrow your hair faster, because that hair fallout
is real.
Yeah.
Still right here. Weird baby hairs growing out there. Yeah.
Yes. We have like, a perineum spray, because they don't tell you that it will burn when you pee, or like, even for like C-section women, like a C-section scar serum. So like to minimize that scar that you don't want to see, so I created this thing. We're in our own businesses, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this kit. And I'm like, I have to start meeting with like doulas and midwives. And she's like, I have to start meeting with doulas and midwives. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's cool. And then like, it was this light bulb moment went off that it was like, wait, do we have something here together?
Yeah.
And everybody around us was like, duh. Like,
yeah, you guys are like, wait, did we just become best friends? Yup. Like you had that moment. It's like, why didn't we see it?
Why didn't we see it? Yeah. And so, so that's where like Pure Motherhood Co was like born. But this was November 2019.
Yes. Right.
Ooh.
Yes. And yes, November 2019. And then so like we were like working like, oh, we found this Prego Expo, and that's where we're going to launch our business. It was February 2020.
Yeah. Say no more. And it's funny, like I got goosebumps as you mentioned the date, because your experience, like having that postpartum, like that's literally what propelled me to be where I am now. Like I have a 4-year-old daughter. My son's 2.5. So literally the times that you guys were pregnant, I was pregnant. We were all vibing. It's amazing. But I would tell my husband, like there would be days where I'd just be taking a shower, like staring at the window, and like so many things of what I wanted in that moment would manifest. And then, life kicks in and I'm like, oh, the baby or my breastfeeding, like what's like, there's so many things that are coming at us all at once. And I love that you leaned into that, right? What did I need during this pregnancy? What was something that would have helped me? And then you have now this amazing toolkit, right? Because I mean, at least for me, like I'm not planning on getting pregnant again, but the wealth of information that I received, by listening to my body, getting the resources that I needed, I'm like, this needs to be passed on to everybody, because at some point, if you're a woman, if you want to be a mom, you're going to go through what I like to call the universal qualifier of being a mom. Like we all go through it, and it's varying degrees of it. It's something that unifies us in ways that I don't think we don't cultivate enough, because we do. We absolutely, like everything that you described, I'm like, yep, that was me. And November 2019, I'm like, yep, I definitely wanted to start quitting my job then. Like my son was a little bit older. I'm like, I think that's around the time where I leaned in like heavy in no, I need to take care of myself. And then February 2020 is my birthday, gave myself a whole week of self-care. And I'm like, no, this isn't enough. I need more. And I think like later on that year was when I decided to quit too. So it's just like the fact that time lines up so well with life is unbelievable.
Yeah. I feel like
oh my gosh. Okay. And
kids help you kind of find your passion a little bit. Like just like are like, I don't know, it's like there's so much more out there.
Yeah. Yes. And I think for me, it was just the push of listening to myself, listening to my body. Like I had the blessing of having women around me in the medical field that were like holistic, but also medicine based, right? So like when I would ask my OBG for something, she'd be like, we can recommend this, or you do what your body feels like doing. And I'm like, thank you. Yes, I don't want to do anything. I appreciate that, you know, and then there was a nurse too who told me, he's like, your body knows what it's doing. You need to do nothing. You just step back and let it. I'm like, oh, you're a heaven sent. Because now that's something that I take even in business. Like when my body reacts, I'm like, you know what you're doing. And now that's given me almost like a hall pass to listen to myself. Like being a mom is where I realize that I can listen to myself. And I don't think that we champion that enough. So what you ladies are doing, giving yourself that empowerment and now bookcasing it and sharing it with other women, I think it's been long overdue.
Oh,
long overdue. Yeah, so we're not gonna cry, or we might cry. I don't know. I'm getting a little teary-eyed, and I got goosebumps all over. But I think it's because when you feel passionate about it, and you guys do, that's what we need.
Yeah, and like one thing that because it's been like a 2-year process now of our business kind of evolving, and one thing that we kind of realized recently is the like the birth experience is what it is. And it's been the same since day one. It hasn't changed. But what we've done in the past, like, I don't know, I would say like 50 to 70 years is we've removed the power of what the birth experience is, and we've given it over to the medical industry. And like that power needs to be given back to the laboring and pregnant woman. You know what I mean? Because she's the one that's giving birth, and birth hasn't changed in all this time. So like what we're working to do is how do we give that power back to them so that they feel empowered in their decision-making in what's best for them. And like you mentioned, in listening to your body and having that intuition.
Right. And I think if anything too, it's having the ability to ask questions, right? Because you're kind of thrown into this system like, oh, you know, so congratulations, you're pregnant. This is what you do. This is your paperwork. This is it. Talk to this person if you want to talk to this. And then you're like, what? Like out of nowhere, now I have to learn how to make a child survive, and I survive, and my marriage survive, and my house survive. Like all of it gets thrown into. So then I think it minimizes, well, you have options. You can ask a question, right? You don't want to appear dumb. Like you don't want to look like, oh, well, I'm a first time mom. Yes, look new. You're brand new to this. Ask all the questions. And I think that we put that pressure onto ourselves, right? Like, oh my God, no, I don't want to look like I don't know. Yes. Nobody knew at some point, and then we've all figured it out, and we all, you know, grow from there. So I like that because it's not just empowerment to make decisions, but it's also to ask the right questions, to advocate for yourself, and for you to decide whether the responses that you're getting are suitable for you or not. And then if they're not, you can go somewhere else. You can get a second opinion, much like with, you know, when I'm buying on Amazon, if it's free shipping here and not over there, I'm going to compare the crap out of it. We should do the same with our doctors. We should do the same with everything that we get offered. Never just take the first opinion point blank, you know, unless obviously you feel compelled to because your intuition is saying so. But yeah, by all means explore. And I think having that little oomph of, we got you, we've been through it, this is what we've discovered after, and it's okay to pull that thread to ask, is really where it all starts to happen and those conversations take place.
Yeah, one of the things we always tell our moms is to interview people. You know, people don't know. You can interview your OB, you can interview, you know, a lactation
pediatrician,
a doula, pediatrician. Yeah, it's not just, oh, I'm picking this pediatrician because that's the pediatrician that works with my OB.
Or your insurance, or you know, like covers that OB and somebody else recommended them. You don't have to go with that person.
Yeah. Right. And we even like help you. We give you the questions to basically ask actually, because we know the questions that you're supposed to be asking. And so like, instead of going out there and start Googling, what questions am I supposed to be asking? What do I do? What do I look out for? What are these red flags? Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. And that's kind of like how, because what we both experience in different ways. So when Jenny was in like birth, and for me it was postpartum, is there's a crap ton of information out there, but it's so overwhelming because it's just all over the place, scattered. And like, not that, you know, we're like, our way is the right way. No, we're going to give you information that's fact-based and you do with that what you please. You make a decision, you know. And so like we're gonna give you like who I didn't know. I remember Googling questions to ask my pediatrician because I'm like, what the heck am I supposed to ask them? I have no idea. Like, are you nice? I don't know, you know. And so like there's so many things that you don't think of, or like you know, something that we discovered in this journey is like I had such a hard time breastfeeding, and I was Googling who was a lactation consultant that could see me tomorrow because I'm crying and my nipples are bleeding. Sorry to get graphic, people. But
motherhood, guys, this is not even the beginning, but yes.
Yeah. And so who could see me tomorrow? And I was so distraught and so emotional. And it's like, that is not the way to do it. Let's get you interviewing lactation consultants before you give birth. So you have their number on speed dial on your postpartum plan. Like, let's get you set up for success, you know?
Yeah. And I think too that a lot of that goes in with even the hospital as well. Like I mentioned before, like really the people who surrounded me at the time during my pregnancy, like I'm grateful for their open-mindedness, for their resourcefulness. Like I remember with my daughter, you know, we give birth and she had locked jaw, like her jaw was really closed tight. So like the first day was agonizing and I'm like, there's no way I'm feeding this kid for the rest of however long I can with that mouth. It's not happening. And the lactation comes in, like the consultant comes in the next day and she's like, well, you can use like a nipple shield if you want, or, and I'm like, what's the or? And she's like, massage your daughter's ears right here. Like, so she helped me so that my daughter can like loosen her jaw and open appropriately so she can get the right suction. I'm like, oh, you saved me. Like, thank you for that, you know? And I think having that, just that key moment where I didn't feel like I had to quit, or I didn't feel like shamed if I wanted to, or I didn't feel like I was beating my body up for not doing what I wanted it to do. Like it was just, no, it's not you, actually, it's your kid. She needs to open up a little bit more so that she can, you know, I'm like, thank you. Like just, it's little things like that that really make a world of a difference for people because, you know, what's the alternative? I would have struggled. Yes, give me the formula. She's not eating. And then whatever supply I had come in, like it's gone, right? And again, not, you know, to push on an agenda. You decide if you want to breastfeed or not. I wanted to, and that's what I wanted to do. I did not want to supplement with formula. Meanwhile, my son, who was born 10 pounds, and that's a whole other birth experience, right? You just do things that are different for you. But again, just like Wendy said, it's having that toolkit, knowing that somebody is a phone call away, so you're not drowning down WebMD or Google or reading a parenting book that says one thing and then another one that completely contradicts it. Like you want to have person, you want to feel like a human while you're bringing human lives to be.
Exactly. And you know, and as a first time mom, you don't know what you don't know. So a lot of times what we find is we work with the women over here that had the second and third time births. And then they're just like, man, I wish I would have known what you know. So a lot of times we are working with the first time mom so that they can understand,
right.
It's okay to not know what you don't know, you know, it's fine. And we want to help set you up for success because what we find is that your birth experience has a direct correlation to your motherhood experience. So postpartum depression, anxiety, all I thought about was my traumatic birth. How did we go into motherhood? Not good. We were not present mothers. All we were thinking about was what we should have done, could have done. And just like our brains were all over the place. We weren't thinking about bonding with this beautiful baby. You know, that just wasn't, unfortunately, we had a horrible motherhood experience. And that's what we're trying to educate.
Avoid. Like help women avoid. And obviously we know that things happen. You know, it's not going to go perfect every time, but why not try to be educated and prepared so that you can actually, like you mentioned, the toolkit, have a toolkit so that you know and have resources to go to try to avoid some of these hurdles, because it's going to be hurdles. It's not easy, you know, but let's try to make your introduction to motherhood as joyful as it can possibly be so you can actually be present.
And it never goes to waste. Like we always hear, I feel like I hear, oh, you know, I put this birth plan together. I took this course, I did this or whatever, and I didn't even need that. And it's like, no one really ever says, man, I should have never gotten educated.
Yeah.
That information back where, because one, we didn't need it. That's amazing.
Yeah.
But now maybe you can help another mom.
Right.
It's just the knowledge is never a waste.
Absolutely. And viewers, whoever's watching right now, it's not going to be lost upon you because you've stumbled on here. And whether you're planning on being a mom, you were a mom, or you're a mom now of somebody who's going to be a mom, or a husband to anybody in your realm is a breath away from wanting to take this journey. So how can we let our viewers know how they can work with you, where they can find you, and what offerings you might have for new moms, repeat moms, or just somebody who really wants to keep empowering women as they become these life vessels?
Yeah. Well, so one thing we wanted to just kind of add is I think you've maybe kind of realized that we definitely want to provide an experience. So for us, what we have been trying to figure out is how to make this an experience and not just go buy this product over there, go take this childbirth course over there, go buy this thing over here. No, we're going to be with you for the entire time. Right. We're going to be with you to support you and empower you and educate you one-on-one so that this is an actual experience and not just, the scattered information. You're hearing information everywhere. You're doubtful, you're fearful, you're not sure what to do. That's what we're here for. Right. So we're going to walk you through the entire, hold your hand through the entire thing.
Yeah.
So is it like a course and a coach offering and then also like products?
Yes.
Yep,
so,
exactly.
we, right now we have, online courses, that you can take. Their self-paced courses. We do have one-on-one, birth and postpartum prep calls, where you can kind of like pick your topic. That's what we have at the moment. And then of course we have all of our products are available on our website, and there's a variety, not just postpartum. We've also added pregnancy. So there's like stretch mark balm. There is, there's actually a roller bottle that you can use while you're in labor for pain. So there's like a lot of products that'll support you from, beginning to end pretty much. But what we're really excited about, and you're actually the first one to know,
Yay, it's an exclusive, guys. Brace yourselves.
That little
breaking news.
I'll put that in the graphics. Confetti.
So we're working on this really, really exciting high-level custom experience for expecting mothers that will kind of encompass all of it. So it'll be a full-on kind of like a concierge education experience where we will support you one-on-one, give you the education that you need based on where you are currently. So not just here, we're going to throw all the information on you. It's where you are currently in your pregnancy journey and, what education is appropriate for that time. Right. So we're going to work with you one-on-one. We are going to give you the education that you need to prepare you for birth or in postpartum, wherever you are in your journey. Products will be delivered to you as part of the process. And then we're going to provide a holistic experience where we partner with other birth workers in the industry to also kind of contribute. So we don't say that we're experts to everything. We don't know all of the things. So we're going to bring in a team that can surround you to help you in the different areas where we're not well versed. So for example, a lactation consultant, we have one, we're in Central Florida, but she's also available virtually. We will have a sleep consultant to help with that newborn sleep.
Send them over. My kids still don't sleep.
And we just have a variety of experts that we're going to partner with to create, like Jenny mentioned, we want to create a full-on experience so that you can feel like not only were you taken care of, but also you didn't have to feel scatterbrained because we got you, and we have all of the people that you should be interviewing. We have them ready for you. Right. A one-stop shop.
Right. Well, and I love that too. I'm happy that you mentioned that even though you're based in South Florida, it can be virtual. And then the service providers that you've been in collaboration with can also be virtual or in person, depending on where you are as a customer.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes. And that full offering should be announced, I'm not sure, next month, hopefully. So please stay tuned. February. I mean, we're on Instagram. That's kind of where we hang out. And that's where you'll kind of find all of the details, because not only are we going to do this new, crazy, amazing, I think it's just going to like totally
Change the game.
Change the game in the world, which it so needs to be changed.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, yeah, so we're going to announce everything, not only this new offer, but we're kind of going through a whole rebirth.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a rebirth. It's a rebirth of our business where we're kind of changing everything up. And we'd love for your listeners to come along our journey.
Absolutely. And I will have all those links listed below in the description or the comment section so that you guys know exactly how to contact them, where to follow them on social media, where to find their offerings. And if you're, first, second, third, fourth trimester, wherever you might be, you can go ahead and reach out to them so that they can guide you. And you get more of that. I mean, just speaking with you, it's not even, there's a hack to giving birth. It's like, no, I can be as new, I can be as experienced, and still there's more for me to learn so that I can have more grace with myself, because there is no manual to being a mom, a parent, a wife while you're doing all of this. So why venture through it by yourself? You don't have to anymore. Now you have this entire community rallying for you and making sure that your child not only survives that first year, but thrives with you as you thrive as well.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Well put.
Yes.
Yay. Oh, I love this. We're going to keep talking. So I'm just going to go and we'll edit at some point if we say goodbye. I don't know if we will. But one of the things that you had mentioned too as well, which really stuck with me, is kind of like when you get that initial pregnancy test, right? Like you have all these emotions, and then kind of like when I became a real estate agent and I got my license, it's like, okay, you're licensed, you're an expert now. And it's like, that's not how that works. So I think that with what you're offering to for moms, it's like, oh, you're pregnant, you'll have a kid. And then here you're an expert. It's like, no, I'm not an expert, right? Like we're only learning to work with our own bodies at that moment as well. So what are some things that I think, what are some things that you've noticed just now through what you're offering and also as an entrepreneur that you're like, oh, that overlaps and I had never even thought of it that way?
That's a good question.
Well, my first thought was when you were talking about the intuition piece, man, and that's something that we try to teach women, and it's so it's such a challenge, especially for first-time moms, to trust themselves. You know your body, you know your baby better than anyone. And I know that's really difficult, again, as a first-time mom. Later on, as a second, third-time mom, I'm like, ain't nobody gonna tell me. But as a first-time mom, you're just like, I'm not sure, oh my God, my doctor said this. It's you get the contradicting information. My doctor said this, but then I heard this on a podcast or whatever it is. And, you start to kind of question things, and it's really difficult right there to use your intuition and be like, you know what? That doesn't feel right. I'm going to find more information. I'm going to, Lord, the entrepreneur journey in terms of intuition, we still till this day are like, we struggle with, are we listening to, other people too much?
Yeah.
Are we trying
all
to
the
find
mentors
this?
and all the gurus and all of the strategies? Like, oh, we saw this strategy. Like yesterday, we just found out that hashtags aren't a thing anymore. We're like,
I can use them.
Yeah, can't keep up.
Yeah.
That's a really incredible.
And just like,
overlap.
and like as a mother, just so you know, like as a business, we're still figuring it out. So as a mom, we're still figuring out how to, when best to use our intuition. No one parents the same. No one births the same. Like,
and not every child is the same. You hear those moms that are like, oh, my baby's sleeping through the night at 2 months old. And it's like, wait till that 4-month sleep regression, number one. And number two, don't tell another mom that's struggling with their child sleeping, because no baby is the same. You know what I mean? Every baby's different. So it's just, and every business is different.
And every business is different. Yeah. I mean, it's funny as you say that, because my kids, they're like night and day, literally sleeping. My daughter, to this day, wakes 2 or 3 times up at night. Sometimes it's to use the restroom. Sometimes it's just because she wants to come into bed. And my son's like, I have my blanket. Yeah. He's done. Like, he doesn't need as much of that contact as she does. So we were so spoiled with him when he was first born. I'm like, he's sleeping through the night. Should we wake him up? He's not waking up. And Amelia would be up like clockwork every 3-4 hours. So like, yes, every kid is different. And she's 4 years old and she still does that. So there's also, you should know about that. Kids are who they are the minute that they're born. So that's just
yes. Yes.
Don't try to make them be someone else.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. Well, oh my God, this was such a great conversation. Thank you to whoever's watching, whoever really needed to hear this message. I'm going to leave all of their contact information below. Thank you to my guests, because your work is so needed in this world. It is so absolutely necessary. And the fact that not only are you doing it, in Florida for yourself, but you're Hispanic women from the Caribbean background, which I'm from too. So I'm repping you guys for that. Like, we did not, as I think growing up, and I'm going to speak for you guys in this too, like, we did not see us right now in the women that we grew up with. So the fact that we're forging this path, like, I applaud you. I get goosebumps for you. I cheer for you. Like, this is exactly what we're supposed to be doing. So I appreciate for you to lean in and to listen to what your soul told you to do, and for being here and for sharing all of that with us. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you so much for your time.